2021 commemorative songbook release, and the bells were ringing. Halifax City Hall bells will ring again for the first time since the Halifax explosion, December the 6th, 1917. Bells to Ring Again. Wednesday's Project. Preservation through Presentation. The most awful explosion I had ever heard. 9:04:35 a.m., December the 6th, 1917 quote. A moment of silence. 9:04:35 a.m., December the 6th, 2020. And the bells to ring again. 9:05:35 a.m., December the 6th, 2021. 8 bells. Bells as instruments date from the Bronze Age to modern chimes. Homer's 1887 8 bells, depicting a ship's watch schedule, to the New Year's 16 bells. 8 to ring out the old year, 8 to ring in the new. City Hall in Halifax, Nova Scotia, is undergoing the installation of 2 historical bells that, when completed, will chime for the first time since the Halifax explosion over 100 years ago. Opened in 1890, it is situated on the north end of the Grand Parade Square, a part of the original Citadel fortification. The north-facing tower clock is permanently set in remembrance of the time of the explosion. The Citadel Fortress in Halifax, Nova Scotia, was built to protect English interests, settlers, and shipping lanes. The settlement was the first English town, public school, printing press, post office, newspaper, dockyard, courthouse, skating rink, and ice ball games played in Canada. The bells first rang from St. Paul's Anglican Church at the south-facing to Parade Square, and later from the now 130-year-old Halifax City Hall, located on the north-facing. After the outbreak of World War I, the port became so busy more dockyard space was required, wharves and accommodations were needed for the over 5,000 troops, more training at medical, in Naval College, and at the new wireless radio Naval Communications School. HMCS Niobe could accommodate 1,000. It served as a floating command, training, communications, and hospital facility. The Royal Canadian Navy controlled traffic into and out of the port at the enter-examination anchor off McNab Island. The port continued to play a major role in the shipment of war resources, an area on the northern waterfront adjacent to the Intercolonial Railway Yard. The Acadia Sugar Refinery property and its wharf were acquired. Intercolonial Railway dispatcher Vince Coleman learned the Mont Blanc was burning with explosive cargo and headed directly towards the pier near his location in the railway yard. Many were fleeing, but Coleman held his post and sent out an urgent telegraph. "Hold up the train. Ammunition ship afire in harbor, making for Pier 6. End will explode." December the 6th, 1917. Panic in the aftermath. Rumors in wartime of German submarine attack, blindness, injury, raging fires, and then a major snowstorm. A half-mile radius around the North End waterfront was flattened or demolished. Debris landed miles away. Over 50 miles away, windows were broken, with the concussion felt for hundreds more. A tsunami had washed away shoreline settlement, grounded vessels, and swamped others miles offshore. Those who survived came to the aid of the injured, trapped, and fought the fires. Trains were halted. As line operators received the message, officials were notified, rescue and aid efforts were quickly put into place. As the distress call was relayed through the wireless land, ship-to-ship, and ship-to-shore system, all within range rushed to assist. From the days of early settlement, the eastern seaboard economic and personal ties were strong. Nowhere more so than Boston, where they rushed to the aid of their Bluenose kith and kin. Ken McLeod from Bedeck, Nova Scotia, a military instructor stationed in Halifax during World War I, was quoted by the Cape Breton magazine. "And I was sitting up in my bunk that morning of the explosion. All of a sudden, the crash came. I was about 10 feet from the wall, and it just lifted me like that, till I hit the wall over on the other side, and went down in a heap on the floor. After I came to, the regiment sergeant major had the bugler blow the fall in. He told us that the ammunition ship blew up and that there were thousands of pounds of ammunition, gun cotton, and everything else down under the ground at the magazine at Wellington Barracks. He said, "The magazine is afire at Wellington Barracks. I'm calling for volunteers to go up there to see what you can do about fighting the fire. If the magazine blows up, you'll go up if you're here, just the same as if you're on top of it. There's that much explosives in the hole." When we got there, they were just passing out boxes of ammunition. So the officer in charge said, "The north end for 2 miles is flattened. Take your men and go down there and start rescuing people." A newly discovered diary tells the harrowing story of the deadly Halifax explosion. A sailor's 1917 journal details a rare eyewitness account of the massive Halifax harbor blast, the biggest explosion of the pre-atomic age, quoted the Smithsonian Magazine, who published the first edition in a feature article. Royal Navy sailor Frank Baker's diary tells of what started off as any other day until the most awful explosion I ever heard. The diary is displayed at the Dartmouth Heritage Museum. A wise nation preserves its records, gathers up its monuments, decorates the tombs of its illustrious dead, repairs its great public structures, and fosters national pride and love of country by perpetual reference to the sacrifices and glories of the past. Joseph Howe. It has become a yearly tradition that a Christmas tree from Nova Scotia is gifted to Boston in gratitude for their aid given during the Halifax explosion crisis, in remembrance of their goodwill. The New England poet, Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, is well known for his moving stories told through limerickal verse, such as his poem Christmas Day. The classic piece tells of sounding bells that rang out over a Civil War conflict. Peace on earth, goodwill to men, over and over as the battle raged on. English organist John Baptiste Calkin first adapted it to song. The classic hymn has come to signify the hope of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Its sentiment and pealing message, the bells were ringing, peace on earth, goodwill to men. What brings us here today? The Halifax Explosion, a commemorative poem by Angela Ionetti.
The Halifax Explosion. It was a cold December morn. The Mont Blanc was filled and bound for war. Her vessel topped right to the brim with TNT and gasoline. Over 200 tons of TNT, picric, and gasoline. She was in herself a bomb set sail and would not make destination as fate prevailed. Another ship had made its way toward New York Harbor that very same day. The two collided, gases blew aflame. A blast so great, it has a name. The Halifax Explosion, we know it well. It took thousands of lives that day. Men, women, children, and soldiers who fled to escape her flames. The snow fell heavy as the white light and flames grew upon the sea. The north end of Halifax was blown to smithereens. Blinded, wounded, and those who died filled the streets and waterside. The drops of red upon the snow, and crying you could hear as people ran in hope for help and clung to those so dear. Then in the distance a sound rang out, a sound that could be heard by each and every one. The sounds of bells from churches. They rang out long and loud and reminded us that help and hope amongst us could be found, that we could pull together and strive to find our way through that Halifax explosion that brings us here today.